Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. Today we're wearing a Christmas t-shirt because we're on the test server, and this is probably the most insane test server in a long time that I can remember. So many cool updates. I'm going to be putting up two videos at the same time. In this one, we're going to be checking out the new champions, which includes a crazy new type of champion. We're going to be looking at him first, who is all about, right? Look at this. Bannerlord's Unity, okay? A new type of champion whose abilities get more powerful the more of their faction you have on your team. Insane. That's new. We're going to be looking at the new champions here in this one, also including my new favorite mythical. In the other video, we're going to be talking about the big feature updates, including buffs to soul stones and all sorts of things like that, how the new blessings are going to work. So this one is a crazy one. Let's dive into these champions. And yeah, let's start off looking at Asel the Stalwart. He is a legendary defense champion, Spirit Affinity for the Bannerlords, but he is something brand new, all about this faction unity. So first of all, you will see this new type of aura on this champion, and this is to indicate that they are a faction unity champion. And guys, what is really interesting about this, I was just double checking it right there to get the exact phrasing from Plarium. So first of all, they said they're going to begin releasing legendary champions with these faction unity skills. So it seems like this is going to be a legendary only thing, right? Not going for epics or mythicals or anything like that, just legendaries, at least for now. And even more interesting, champions with faction unity skills won't be in the summoning pool under normal circumstances. They will be featured in different in-game activities instead. So that's a spicy one. Let's check out his aura. So first of all, faction unity legendaries, their auras will have extra effects for their faction. So he's got just a basic 25% defense in all battles aura, which is, it's fine. It's not the best, but it's good. But he also, on top of that, has increases ally HP in all battles by 15% for Bannerlords. So you put him in with Bannerlords, you're getting a lot of effective HP out of this. You combine the two of these together, and there's sort of a bit of a multiplicative effect, right, in terms of how tanky your champions are. This is an amazing aura when you put it together. His A1, the Hammer of Kerok, attacks one enemy. Kerok Castle, right? It's not the first stage of campaign where you fight Lord Champfort. That's fun. Attacks one enemy. 50 goes to a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff for one turn. Ignores 25% of the target's resistance if this champion is under a shield debuff. And the damage is based off of defense. He has, by the way, very high defense. Massively high. And he has 63% crit damage. Plus 106 speed. This guy's got some pretty bonkers base stats, guys. It's pretty high. So actually looking at those base stats, that's very much indicating he should be a bit of a defensive nuker, right? That's a very, very good A1, by the way. A 75% chance to stun on an A1 is incredibly strong, and ignoring resistance is really good as well. So that's pretty beastly. His A2, Shield Crush. 4-turn goes to a 3-turn cooldown. Heals all allies by the total value of all shields on all allies. Then removes all shields from all allies and attacks all enemies. The damage dealt by this attack is equal to the total value of the shields removed. Damage cannot exceed 1000% of this champion's defense. Bizarre. Let's get up a calculator. Let's do some quick maths here. Let's do it. Right, so some quick maths. This is very interesting to me. So first of all, I said, well, let's think about this cap. His damage cannot exceed 1000% of his defense, and he's got very high base defense. I said, what if you build him with 7,000 defense, which is certainly not beyond reason at all? If we up that by 60%, right, with increased defense, I guess you could also add an aura and that sort of stuff. Let's say that, and then we multiply that by the 1,000%. Basically, what I got was 112,000 damage. So that should be the cap, which, again, in theory, is a lot. Now, I'm really intrigued by how this works. Like, what is the deal? Like, let's say we're in Arena, okay, and we smack a Duchess with this. How does the cap work? Do we hit her for 112,000 and then it's reduced by a Duchess aura and then it's reduced by her defense? Or is it like, well, we smack her as hard as possible and then it will be reduced to this? Because I mean, 112,000, if that's actually how hard you hit, that would easily one-shot most champions, right? Like, unless you're super tanky. I mean, people do have duchesses that are tanky enough to survive that, but most champions are getting destroyed by that. That is interesting. Also worked out, like, let's say in theory, if we've got a 30,000 shield set buff and we throw out a 30,000 HP shield as well, we could have 60,000 shield. Let's say there's 4 allies. That should go up like as high as 240,000 damage. And again, I'm not sure exact. So in this case, it would be reduced. Yes, that's interesting, right? You could, in theory, hit for 240,000. Is that to every single enemy? Again, I'm not entirely sure. How does this interact with crit damage? How does it do? I don't know. I don't know. So we'll have to work out how the exact coding works. Initial impression is that this should do a pretty darn good shield. This should be a massive heal, and it could potentially be a massive smack. Maybe it's actually terrible. Maybe not. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work. Initial impressions is that this looks to be very strong. A very good AoE with 20% extra healing from books as well. Should be a massive heal and a massive AoE. Kind of intriguing. Is A3 then? This is where the faction unity comes in. Behold the banners, which actually is a 5-turn booking to 3-turn cooldown. Places a shield buff equal to 30% of this champion's HP on all allies for 2 turns, and a 50% ally protection buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. This is a strong combo, just straight up, right? Put a big shield and ally protection out, then heal everyone based off of that and do a massive smack. It's kind of cool. Yeah, there you go. And again, it's a short cooldown, very big shield. He's got big base HP. Now, from the looks of it, you're not really going to be cranking his HP too high. So it's not going to be the biggest shield in the world. Like, I would think initial impression are that you're more likely perhaps to crank his defense and crit damage high. So that being said, if the damage of this, like, does it scale off his defense at all? Or does he even need defense and crit damage? Is this entirely dependent on shield? I'm very curious how this actually works. Like, we basically need Saf to go in and data mine how this actually works, right? Maybe you don't need to build him with any damage at all. Maybe this is purely off shield. I say one with smack perhaps, but I don't know. Anyway, let's look at the faction unity, the thing we're here to see. If you've got one faction ally, it will instantly activate this skill whenever an ally is revived and will not put the skill on cooldown. If multiple champions on the team have the skill, only one will activate. Well, first of all, if you cannot pull him from shards, he's only from in-game activities. It sounds pretty unlikely to me you're going to get multiple of him, but who knows? But yeah, whenever an ally is revived, which I think is so long as you got one other Bannerlord on your team. We got Taris, we got Marishka, Quintus, Baron, heck, even Kaja and Raglan. Like, you've got some decent ones. Rhonda, Staltus. There's good Bannerlords, right? There are good Bannerlords in this game. If you got even one on them, whenever you get a revive off, he instantly puts a big shield and ally protection on your whole team. That's nuts. 2 faction allies also puts block damage on this champion for 2 turns. Again, that's pretty darn good. I mean, it's a 2-turn block damage on this guy who could potentially be nuking and will help him not to die from ally protection. At 3 faction allies, buffs placed by this skill cannot be removed, which I presume includes block damage and the ally protection. The shield being not removable, not as big of a deal, but the others is pretty strong. So that's a beast of a move. Then he has a passive as well. Knight of Knights. Allies under shield buffs receive 10% less damage. Okay, simple enough, but kind of nifty. It's going to help the shield survive. I mean, for PvE, it's a lot of damage reduction, right? You add 50% ally protection, so you're taking half damage. You add 10% less damage, just even before I presume that's applied. That's a ton of damage reduction for your team. It's actually really nice. This doesn't sound that crazy, but I think it's actually really good. Then it's got a unity skill as well. 1 faction ally. Allies under shield buffs are immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, and petrification. Game changer. Game changer right there. Slap him into Hydra. Guess what? Guess what? All your allies under shield, which is going to be nearly... Basically, like, there's no way that anyone's not going to basically be under shield almost the entire time in Hydra. They're just immune to fear, true fear now. Had a torment dealt with, you're immune. Again, in arena, you're just immune to basically all hard crowd control while you've got a shield on. That's insane. That's insane. You put your team in with a bolster set and unremovable shield, you just cannot be hard crowd controlled at all. 2 faction allies. Allies under ally protection buffs have a 20% chance of counterattacking when hit. 3 faction allies. The value of all ally shield buffs is increased by 100%, except shield buffs granted by artifact sets. So, like, it just doubles the shields. So we come in again. Let's say he hypothetically has 100,000 HP. You throw out a 30%. You throw out a 30,000 shield. Does he just put out a 60,000 shield instead? Just crazy, right? I don't know. Like, again, maybe I'm misunderstanding this. It's easy to do because this is such a new concept. But initial impressions of Aslan the Stalwart, or Aselin, I'd say, is probably how you say Aselin the Stalwart. This guy seems insanely strong. This guy seems like such a monster. Like, it's actually disgusting. What is going on here? Yeah, it seems like these faction, these Unity champions are looking to be exceptionally strong. I'll say it right here as well. I absolutely love this concept. This concept is amazing to me. I think it's brilliant. I mean, he maybe seems too strong. I don't know. But I love this idea of these Unity legendaries. I think that is so cool. You guys know from watching my content, I'm a massive fan of Faction Wars. It's one of the most fun things that I did in the game. I think building up like these very sort of specific faction teams was a great reason to use champions together that you otherwise might not use. This pushes that further, right? The idea that, hey, now you're much more motivated to build like Bannerlord specific teams for like Classic and Tag Arena, for Dungeon, for everything, for Live Arena, everywhere. I think that's so cool. I cannot wait for more of these Unity champions to come into the game. I think it opens up so many unique team building things. So that is insane. And he looks super good. So he's coming in an in-game activity, apparently. So you best prepare, guys. Stockpile for this guy would be my thoughts. Let's jump over to High Elves, where we've got a new mythical. It is Galathier, Star Sage Galathier, who's looking pretty awesome, actually. So very cool. He's got a sort of voidy star type sword on his back. He's got the cool arm. He's got a cool staff. He's got it all. Very cool mage. Looks kind of creepy. Let's look at his transformation. Boom. And this is cool. He just turns into like this sort of creepy void angel demon thing. I love it. Super badass. Again, they've really captured this sort of celestial spookiness. I think it's so badass. He looks incredible. Base stats do not change between forms. They stay the same. And the base stats, by the way, are kind of insane. 115 speed. That's still the highest in the game, right? That's insane. He's got really high defense and HP. He's going to be very tanky. 50 base resist. Yeah, cool. Let's take a look at him. 80 resist and all battles aura. Really strong aura. Astral Storm is A1. Attacks all enemies. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 10%. Fills the turn meter of each ally by an extra 5% if they have any active buffs placed on them by this champion. So 10 to 15% turn meter boost on an AoE A1. Again, seems quite good. Yeah, it's hard to quantify that, but that could be really strong. Like with ally attacks or counterattack or anything like that, that could end up equaling quite a lot, actually, of extra turn meter. His A2, Stellar Embryo, 4 bucks to a 3-turn cooldown, removes all debuffs from all allies, heals them by 25% of this champ's max HP. It's going to be a good heal. Also fills the turn meter of all allies by 15% and places block debuffs on them for 2 turns. So he's a strong go-first champion. He's very fast. You could have him in a good speed stone skin set or something like that. He comes in, cleanses your team, heals them, and turn meter boosts them with block debuffs. It's a good move. Harsh the Veil. His A3, 6 goes to a 4-turn cooldown, revives all dead allies with half HP and turn meter, and puts Perfect Veil on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. I think, again, that's a good revive. Now, it doesn't necessarily blow me away. It's similar to Duchess, shall we say. Now, with Duchess Revive, they come back with 70% HP, so they come back with more health, but no turn meter, and it's just regular Veil with continuous heal. Yeah, his is probably better, right? They're coming back not as healthy, but they get Perfect Veil instead, which gives you damage reduction. What is Perfect Veil? Is it 15% damage reduction, which is nice? You get the 50% turn meter. It's quite good. It is a good move, right? It's a strong AoE revive with a strong defensive buff for 2 turns as well. So he's sort of forced to attack him, and he should be very tanky. So he can probably take some punishment. It's an interesting move. He can obviously metamorph. Then his passive, Eternal Beyonder, has a 3-turn cooldown on the active. The passive effect, first of all, he gets 5% less damage for every 100 resist, stacking up to 25%. So with 500 resistance, which shouldn't be too bad to reach with 50 base and like your faction guardians and your Great Hall, etc. That's doable. Just a permanent 25% damage reduction. It should be pretty tanky. The active effect, which has a 3-turn cooldown, prevents this champion's death, keeps them alive on 1 HP when hit by a fatal hit, then equalizes their HP. This HP level will be brought up to the average HP level of the team. That's a very powerful effect. A cheat death, basically, on a reviver. That's very good. All right, that's really good. Now, yeah, again, imagine at the start of the fight, you get nuked. Maybe you could even have him not in Stone Skin. He could be in like Bolster or something like that. Yeah, this guy could be real strong in Bolster. You slap him into Bolster set. I don't know. Maybe you do want Stone Skin just so you can cleanse. I'm not sure. But that is an intriguing passive. Yeah, I think a cheat death, like a swift parry thing with a heal built in, with just a 3-turn cooldown. He's very fast as well. It's not bad. Let's check out his other form. Interesting stuff from Star Stage Galathier so far. Form number 2. Again, it's the same base stats. Uncreation Beam. Attacks all enemies. Decrease the turn meter of all enemies by 10%. Decrease them by an extra 5% if they're under block active skills, decrease resistance, or stun placed by this champion. Well, hey, I wonder what his other skills are going to do. Again, bucks up with quite a bit of damage, surprisingly. Yeah, again, turn meter control. It's actually quite nifty. Not bad. Eclipse Rend, 4 bucks to a 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies. Before attacking, removes all buffs, then puts block active skills for 2 turns. This will not trigger counterattacks. That's a very strong move. Get your buff strip, and then block active skills. Yeah, that's very, very, very powerful crowd control. Obviously, a bit vulnerable to Polymorph. But the Polymorph nerf that's coming in this patch as well, now it's only going to trigger once. Could be good, and the not triggering counterattacks, that is useful against... I'd say primarily against like Taurus, for example, who can easily counterattack if Marishka's there. Cool move. Okay. Dark Nebula, 4-turn cooldown, puts increased accuracy on all allies for 2 turns, then puts decreased resist on all enemies for 2 turns, and a stun debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. So boosts himself up so it's easy to land, decrease resist, and stun. Even if your team... That's kind of a weird one. Like Dark Kale also has the increase accuracy, decrease resistance. It's not been super useful so far. Certainly you go into Arena, if you put increase accuracy and decrease resist out, like, I mean, that's pretty rough. Like, you know, it becomes very easy to debuff people. It's an interesting one. And then he gets to stun as well. So an AoE stun, very likely land on a 4-turn. Decent. And then, like, it's a lot of crowd control, really. You think you AoE stun them, then you put AoE block active skills, then you start turn meter controlling. It's a good combo. Then his passive passively increases his accuracy equal to 75% of his resistance when placing debuffs or activating instant effects. So let's say you've got him with 500 resistance. 75% of that is, well, oh gee, maths is hard. I don't know. Like let's say even 350 accuracy. It's a bit more than that, isn't it? I don't know, 375, 380 accuracy, something like that. And yeah, but then you give him increased accuracy on top of it. You use the ignore resistance. He should be pretty darn successful at debuffing, even without crazy resistance build. And 3-turn cooldown for the active. This is called Starlight Reflect. If an enemy's accuracy is higher than this champion's resistance, has a 50% chance of transferring any fear, true fear, provoke, freeze, all the heart CC basically, back to the enemy when placing these debuffs on this champion. That is interesting. Again, let's say we've built him with 500 resistance and you're going up against, I know, Mithrala, who's got more accuracy. Or again, any sort of debuffer crowd controller probably built with more. Intriguing. He has just a 50-50 to throw hard crowd control back. That's pretty cool. Okay. Like it does seem that the concept is you build him with like around the 500 resistance to max out the damage reduction passive, but then you crank his health and his speed as high as possible. Right, to make him really tanky and fast, and you let the passive sort of protect him, as it were. Interesting. Okay, very cool champion. He looks very strong. He is cool. I like him a lot. He's powerful, but he is not my favorite mythical. Not my favorite mythical who's coming in this patch. That honor goes to this guy, whose name I can't remember. Worst favorite ever. Alaz the Sunbearer. So, The reason he's my favorite, in his default mode, he looks cool. He's like a barbarian type dude. He looks pretty badass. But when he transforms, when he transforms, oh shit, it's Altan 2.0, boys. How freaking cool. This for me is maybe one of the coolest looking champs in the game. Like, they just absolutely nailed the mythic barbarian. Like, this guy, he looks like a freaking barbarian god. This guy looks insanely cool. He could be straight out of God of War. You know, oh, he is sick. Like, even the axe that sort of cracked into, that's badass. The hair, the lightning effect, it's just 10 out of 10. You guys know I love Altan. This guy looks super cool. So in his base form, his base form looks boring compared to his second form, and his base form is decent. He just looks so normal. He's so good. Form 2 is sick, though. Anyway, he is a defense-based mythical in Form 1. I think it's HP in Form 2. So you can see when he flips form, he loses attack, which I think is irrelevant, but he loses defense and gains HP. That being said, his HP and defense are high in both forms. You can see in Form 1, he's got good defense. Again, his crit damage is high, so he looks to be a damage dealing type champion, a damage dealer for sure. Let's check it out. This guy's got insane skills in both form. It's insane. Let's take a look. Photon Axe. Attacks one enemy 2 times, puts an extra hit if the target's under shield, and each hit ignores shield buffs. That is a great A1. Triple hitter against targets under shield that ignores the shields. That's very strong, right? Shields are very strong and common in Arena. Think about Nekret the Great. Think about, well, Asel, the dude we just looked at, that Bannerlord. Think about, I mean, Mithrala is common. Yeah, there's some Marishka. There's a lot of shield champions out there. Bolster set, shield sets, all of that. You see a shield all the time. It's very powerful. This is a very, very good A1. It's A2, Rolling Thunder. 4-turn books to 3-turn cooldown. Attacks all enemies. Before attacking, puts 60% increased defense on all allies for 2 turns. Again, he is a defense-based damage dealer. He's buffing his own damage on top of, it's making your team tankier, so that's good. Places an extra hit on targets with less than 50% HP after the first hit. If the target's HP is equal to or higher than 50% after the first hit, destroys the target's max HP by 30% of the damage inflicted instead. Intriguing stuff. Now, the extra hit is no question better. This is like Hefrak, right? This is a defense version of Hefrak in a big way. Effectively, this is going to be probably a pretty hard-hitting move, but if you get them lower than half health, he hits them again, it's almost definitely going to kill them, because the second hit is technically single target. It's going to avoid a lot of like masteries and passives that reduce AoE damage. So like, if you get the extra hit, you're almost definitely, bar reaction or some miracle or something like that, you're almost definitely killing people. That's strong. The destroyed max HP, that seems more niche. Certainly be useful against like Scarab boss. But, yeah, it's interesting. You're going to wear them down for sure. That seems much less appealing. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm misjudging it. That seems like a weaker effect for sure. The extra hit seems pretty scary stuff. Then here we go, guys. This is where it starts to get insane. Searing Gale. 4-turn goes to a 3-turn cooldown. Places Provoke on a target enemy for 2 turns. It cannot be resisted if they have less than 50% HP. So that's a little bit awkward. So far, you're not really building in with accuracy. So a bit awkward. It is a 2-turn Provoke, which is nice. But it is on a target enemy, so more leaning into manual play. A bit restricted, but okay. But here we go. Also places counterattack on all allies for 2 turns and block damage on all allies for 1 turn. New best counterattack champion in the game. They have not added an all-ally counterattack champion, I think, since the game launched, right? It's been too powerful. That was what they said. Times have changed. Times have changed here in 2024. It's a new era for the game, really, but we've got, obviously, Martyr, Valkyrie in Legendary, and then in the Epics, we've got Skull Crusher. They're the only team counterattack champs in the game, and Skull Crusher doesn't even put it on himself. Now we've got team counterattack with block damage, which is absurd, and then, of course, he can provoke an enemy as well, which is just really, really good. So this is an insane, crazy move. Like, if they come in without a buff stripper, it's kind of nuts. Now, I guess he would have to be probably, I suppose, the slowest champion on your team, right? Otherwise, if he goes first, they're going to outrun their block damage pretty quick. But there's some spicy stuff to happen there. Of course, he can switch his form. He has a 35% defense on all battles aura, which is lovely. And then his passive Curus of the Sun increases defense by 5% each time he counterattacks up to 100%. Resets each round. Again, for Arena, that is terrifying. Come in, put counterattack block damage on yourself. You can provoke their damage dealer. You're going to start building up your defense. This move becomes terrifying. So he's an insane defensive nuker / protector. He's just nuts. He is nuts in Form 1. Let's check out Form 2. He switches to HP. Again, he still has really high defense. And his, yeah, so he's just going to be super tanky either way. He still has that 63% crit damage. Let's check this out. This form has a lot of very unique stuff going. Still the defense aura. A1, Bolt Quake. Attacks all enemies. So an AoE A1 puts an extra hit on enemies under HP burn. A2, Solar Flare. This is where it gets so insane again. 3-turn cooldown. Attacks all enemies. Places HP burn for 2 turns. The debuff cannot be resisted by enemies under Stone Skin. Then instantly activates any HP burn on enemies under Stone Skin and puts a True Fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. That is spicy. Spicy, spicy, spicy. I talked about this in a recent video, that Stone Skin, you can counter it with HP burn, but there's only Sulfurion that's able to do it. Now we've got another option. So like you go into an arena fight and the enemy team is all in Stone Skin, you switch to second form, AoE burn, instantly activate it, delete Stone Skin off their whole team, and then attempt to put True Fear as well. So he's kind of interesting. He's got 0 base accuracy. That becomes a bit tricky, right? Maybe you want to slap some accuracy on this guy to try to place HP burn, even if the enemy is not. If they're in bolster set, they don't have Stone Skin. Maybe 1 or 2 of their champs have Stone Skin. You're going to need accuracy to get HP burn on the others, and therefore have enough burns to actually destroy the Stone Skin. I believe Stone Skin is a 50% shield, and HP burn, I believe, without blessings, well, that becomes interesting. It does 15%, so triple damage, I think. But by default, it's 5% damage, I think, and it goes up to 15%. So you need 3 to 4, really, burns to destroy Stone Skin. Now, where that becomes interesting, of course, is with Blessing, right? Like if you slap him over into a Blessing nobody uses, Incinerate, which increases the damage from burns. Now, it becomes much easier to actually destroy Stone Skin with that. On top of it, actually would do pretty good damage, and you can start decreasing their turn meter. Pretty interesting. He'd be very strong in that, which again makes me love this champion, right? No one uses that Blessing. How cool is it to run it with him? This is a pretty darn good move. Needless to say, then, Revitalizing Ray, his A3, 5-turn goes to 4-turn cooldown, fully restores all allies destroyed max HP, then heals all allies by 30% of this champ's max HP, also places Strengthen and increase resist on all allies for 2 turns. This is a bit more niche, right? This is a bit more, like, this doesn't scream arena to me. Like, your HP doesn't get destroyed much in arena, although, with Life Harvest it does. Strengthen, increase resist, okay, and the heal's going to be solid enough. Pretty interesting. You can obviously shapeshift back. And then Heart of Heavens is passive. Increases HP by 6 for every 1 defense they have. That's just mental, right? So you build... That's crazy good. You build him with super, super high defense, so he can be a massive defensive nuker in Form 1. Then he's going to be a massive HP nuker in Form 2, right? You put out the burns and True Fears. Then his A1 is a double hitter if you place the burns. Oh, so good. Increase the chance of enemy skills not activating when under Fear or True Fear by 20%, while also under HP burn. It's just crazy. I believe Fear and True Fear are a 50-50. You come in with this move, if you've got the accuracy to do it, or you bring an increased accuracy champ or something. AoE burn, and let's say you land the burn and the True Fear on all of them. Now they've got a 70%. Let's say if we add in Fortis as well. Let's throw in Fortis for good. He's got buffed in this patch, by the way. Fortis increases the chance of Fear and True Fear by an additional 15%. You can get up to 85% chance that they miss their turn with True Fear. It's kind of disgusting. That's an interesting combo. Also, the Fears would help activate Fortis. Kind of cool. Needless to say, this guy's my new most wanted mythical. I think he's so fun. Like, you've got the whole unique dealing with Stone Skin thing here. The extra hit against HP burns. Like where does this A3 fit in? I'm not sure. Crazy passive. His form was just crazy. This, like, honestly, it's hard to say which of these three is the most powerful. Like, I don't know. Each one of these champions is like in contender for most powerful champ in the game, right? It's just nuts. Oh my lord. Then we've got White Queen Anora. She is the fusion. These are her stats. So her stats, really good. We've seen everything else before with her. Obviously, she's got the really nice single target revive with 75% turn meter and a full skill reset. She's got a cleanse with a shield, which is nice, and turn meter boost. Then she's got the A1 that can decrease ally skills. Passive helping protect someone. 90% speed. She's a solid champion. She's not as good, obviously, as the first three that we've seen, but she's good. Yeah, she's good. 111 speed, very high speed, good defense and HP. I mean, it's similar stuff, isn't it, to, like, I don't know. She's not as tanky as a Duchess. It's pretty similar to like an Elva in terms of HP defense. A little less defense, a bit more HP, similar speed. So very similar tankiness to an Elva. Not quite as tanky as Duchess, who's got more health and obviously her passive. But, you know, she's good, right? I think there's nothing to complain about there. She is a fine tanky support. She's a good support looking in terms of stats, so pretty good. Also, let me get the thing. Hang on. Check this out, guys. This is one of my favorite comments of all time. From Adam Bolin 5112, commenting on these fusions, says, as a Latin history geek here, not Greek, geek, they're not Egyptian themed. They're Byzantine. There we go. That's the word. They're Byzantine themed. Narses was a general and a leader in 478 AD. Armenian who died in Rome, Italy, and later became Turkey and stuff. You can read this comment yourself, guys, but it's insane. The queen is a play of a capital city being a country jewel. It's pretty cool. It could also mean anchor, Ancora for again being able to revive. Yeah, it's pretty sick. So there's a lot going on here, but I thought this is really interesting that it's referencing actually Byzantine stuff. So there you go. Let's check out Narses, the Byzantine. Byzantinian? I don't know. Byzantine? I don't know. How do you say it? I need to do more research myself. So there you go. White King Narses. Again, we've seen his stuff. He looks insanely good. Power is base stats. Really good. 63% crit damage. High HP, almost 24,000. That's quite high. He's got good defense as well and solid speed. This guy is looking to be very strong, at least from his skill set. And then finally, okay, the madness has ended right after all of these crazy OP champs. Now we've got someone not OP. We've got Bowsmith. Maybe he is. Let's take a look. Bowsmith Flannan. It looks pretty cool. He's just a rare. He looks pretty cool, though. And he's fine base stats for a rare. Not bad. Strike the Anvil. Double hitter. Each hit has a 25 booking to 40% chance of placing a stun. That's actually really good for a rare. 40% chances to stun. That's not too shabby. Each hit also has a 35 going to 50% chance to decrease the target's turn meter. Great, by 5%. Sure, small, but very small, but something. If the target's under decreased speed placed by this champion, decrease turn meter by 10% instead. Hey, not too bad. He's got a good chance to stun. Not a bad chance for that. It's okay. Shatter Knees. Attack all enemies. 4 turn goes to 3 turn cooldown. 75 booking to 100% chance of the small version of decreased speed for 2 turns. Damage based on defense. He's a defense damage dealer. Great. Got good base defense. Fine, fantastic. But yeah, AoE decreased speed. It's the small version, but it's not bad. On a short cooldown, buffing up the turn meter. Cool. Muster Smith, 5 turn goes to a 4 turn cooldown. Puts the small version of increased accuracy in all allies for 2 turns. Teams up with a random ally to attack a target enemy. Kind of nifty. He's a pretty good, like, Fire Knight champion, right? He's actually not bad for Fire Knight. Like, normal. Yeah, give yourself the increased accuracy. Good for progression. Team up, he could be good for faction wars as well. Passive Hammer Rhythm, 4 goes to a 3 turn cooldown. 50% chance of granting an extra turn when this champion puts decreased speed on 3 or more enemies with Shatter Knees. It's actually really good. He's a great rare. Like, yeah. Come in with your AoE decreased speed. You got a chance for an extra turn, 50-50. Then go in with a single ally attack. Hey, cool. His A1 is pretty good for a chance to stun. He's a good rare. He could be very helpful if you're trying to get through the faction crypt. He could be really nice. He could be good, I think, for like Fire Knight especially. Could be good for even some bosses. And I don't know. He's not bad. Again, most of these rares in Sylvan Watchers have actually been really good. He's arguably even the best one. Maybe not a bit better, but like he's actually really solid. He's better than I kind of expected, honestly, clicking into this. So there you go, guys. We have, I think, like 3 of the most powerful champions potentially ever added to this game. Asel looks insane. Wrong faction. We've got obviously Galathier. He looks insane. Oh, I didn't mention her because we haven't got her yet. Let's check a quick look at High Mother Maud. These are her base stats, so they're again looking solid. She's similarly tanky to the fusion. So yep, she looks solid. That's High Mother Maud. We'll check out the whole fragment exchange thing in the other video out today. And then yeah, we've got obviously the High Elf mythical Galathier. He's looking nice. And my new probably favorite most wanted champion in the game, Alas the Sunbearer. This guy looks just insane. He is Force Affinity. I guess you could have some weak hits being an issue, but my lord, this guy looks nuts. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Imagine him in like the Rathalos set, and you get your double hitter here, and then he comes in with another Rathalos double hit. Oh my goodness. Just disgusting. What if you Rathalos this A1? Whoa. Rathalos this A1? You know, you just that chance for double damage. If you don't trigger the less than 50% HP the first time, they'll be softened up and their max HP destroyed. You get another shot at it. Oh my god, he's disgusting. Guys, thanks. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.